Did you know that there are no clocks in most casinos? That's not an accident. Casinos are designed to make you lose track of time. They don't have windows or clocks. They have carefully controlled lighting. Not every single casino, but the majority of them. So your subconscious never gets that signal of, hey, I've been in here for a long time. Maybe I should go home. Instead, they create almost like a trance like state where you just keep playing. And even the smell of stores is used as a subliminal influence. Welcome to the Artwork of You, the podcast where your life is the canvas and you are the masterpiece. I'm your host, Lori Gouhin, and together we'll explore creativity, self-awareness, mindset, goal strategy, and the importance of accountability so that you can paint your life's portrait with confidence and ease. Remember, in the gallery of life, you're not just a spectator, you are the art. So let's grab our brushes and start creating the masterpiece that is you. Hello, my friends. I am so glad that you are here with me today because today I want to talk about something that's been influencing you, I would say, your entire life, maybe without you even realizing it. And in fact, it's probably influencing you right now as you listen to this. And that's the power of subliminals. Subliminal messages, cues, and influences that sneak past your conscious awareness and land directly in your subconscious. And that shapes what you think, what you feel, and what you do without your permission. And although this can be troublesome, of course, when it relates to unwanted things, it can also certainly be beneficial when you use the power of your subconscious mind to your advantage. And so today we're going to talk about subliminal messages and the unconventional success stories of people who have hacked their subconscious using subliminals to create really insane results in their lives. Because whether you realize it or not, you are constantly being influenced. And the question is, are you going to stay on autopilot or are you going to take control? All right, so that we're all clear on what subliminals actually are, let's talk about that for a second. And I think that the best way to think about it is that they are those influences that exist below the threshold of your conscious awareness. You don't see them, you don't hear them, at least not in a way that you can actively register. But your subconscious mind, that picks up everything because your brain is constantly scanning and recording way more than you consciously notice. And sometimes you don't even realize just how much information is slipping under the radar because your brain is constantly filtering through thousands of stimuli every second, deciding what to bring into your conscious awareness and what to leave in the background. But just because something stays in the background does not mean that it's not affecting you. It actually is more powerful because it bypasses the part of your brain that questions and doubts or analyzes information. And instead, it gets stored directly in your subconscious, shaping your thoughts, beliefs, and even your behaviors without you realizing it. And so if your subconscious is always picking things up that your conscious mind is ignoring, think about how much influence you're absorbing every single day. For example, music lyrics that you aren't really listening to, or background ads on social media, or colors and branding, even the facial expressions of the people around you, all of it is sending signals that you don't realize are shaping your reality. Let me give you an example. There was this study where researchers showed people a series of faces, and they asked them to rate how likable the faces were. But before each face appeared, another image was flashed on the screen for just a few milliseconds. It was way too fast for the participants to see it, but their subconscious picked it up. And if the hidden image was a happy face, the next person they viewed as more likable. And if the hidden image was an angry face, they rated the next face as less likable. Their conscious minds had no idea, but their subconscious had already made the decision for them. And that's just a tiny example of how our brains process subliminal information. But what happens when these influences are everywhere? The reality becomes that subliminals are shaping your decisions and perceptions all the time. And most of us are walking around completely unaware of it. And think about how wild that is. Like you're walking through your day thinking you're making completely rational, logical decisions, but how much of your perception is actually being shaped by the things you don't even know you're seeing? And it's not just about whether or not you think someone is friendly. Subliminal exposure can actually change your mood and your behavior without you realizing it. There was a study published in the Journal of Consumer Research that found that flashing positive words like happiness or success or confidence to the participants just below the threshold of their conscious awareness actually improved their mood and self perception, even though they had no idea that they had seen these words. And as you would expect, they also flashed negative words like failure and hopeless. And that, of course, had the opposite effect, making people feel worse about themselves without them knowing why. And that means that even when you think you're in control of your mood, your confidence, or even your motivation, there are subconscious influences constantly nudging you in one direction or another. And if we're not aware of this, we might just assume our emotions are random or that we just woke up in a bad mood, when in reality, our environment is shaping us way more than we think. I also want to share another study that I came across, and it's one of the most famous subliminal experiments supposedly ever done. And it's called the elderly priming study. And I think it's crazy. Researchers at NYU had participants do a simple word puzzle where they had to unscramble words to form sentences. But the thing was, half the participants were given words that subtly related to aging, things like wrinkle, retirement, Florida, and the other half got completely neutral words. And once they were done, the researchers told them to walk down the hallway to another room. But what the participants didn't know is that the real experiment was happening then. The researchers were secretly timing them on how long it took them to walk down the hallway. And guess what? The people who had been exposed to the aging related words without realizing it actually walked slower than those who hadn't. They weren't told to walk slower. They weren't consciously thinking about old age, but their brains had absorbed the subliminal message and it literally changed how they moved. Like, what in the world? A few words that they didn't even consciously notice changed their physical behavior. Now, think about how often we are exposed to words, messages, and symbols every single day. If a few words in a puzzle can affect how you walk, what do you think is happening when you're constantly surrounded by messages about success or failure or beauty or money or what's possible for you? So, again, the question isn't whether subliminals work. The question is, how are they already working on you? And can we just talk for a minute about one of the biggest subliminal influencers out there, social media? I'm sure you noticed that how certain types of content just keeps showing up on your feed. And of course, that's not a coincidence because as all of the platforms, they use an algorithm that's designed to reinforce whatever you engage with the most. But the part that most people don't realize is that even pausing on a post for a fraction of a second signals to the algorithm that it caught your attention. And what happens next? You start seeing more and more of that kind of content, even if you didn't actively like or comment on it or even realize that you hesitated for a second. So, again, whether you realize it or not, your social media is a form of subliminal programming. And you might want to be mindful about whether you are letting it shape you by accident or are you being intentional about how you consume and what you consume. And can we also talk for a minute about how subliminals are used in real world spaces? Did you know that there are no clocks in most casinos? That's not an accident. Casinos are designed to make you lose track of time. They don't have windows or clocks. They have carefully controlled lighting. Not every single casino, but the majority of them. So your subconscious never gets that signal of, hey, I've been in here for a long time. Maybe I should go home. Instead, they create almost like a trance-like state where you just keep playing. And even the smell of stores is used as a subliminal influence. And if you've ever walked past an Abercrombie and Fitch and that smell is everywhere, their signature scent, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. They pump it through the air on purpose because studies show that the scent has a direct connection to memory and emotion. And their goal is to make you associate that smell with something desirable. So you subconsciously want to shop there again. All right, so let's move on to how we can use what we know about subliminals and our subconscious mind to our advantage. Because there are some incredible stories of people who have figured out how to use subliminal influence to reprogram their minds and change their reality. And I want to share just a few of them with you. because I think they're inspiring. And some of you might be familiar with this story, but for those of you who aren't, Jim Carrey, the actor, wrote himself a $10 million check before he ever became famous. He didn't just write it down and forget about it. He kept it in his wallet where he saw it every single day. And he essentially trained his subconscious mind to accept that reality of the $10 million as inevitable. And that's the way the subliminal exposure works, repeatedly seeing it so much that you don't even recognize it anymore. And every time he pulled out his wallet, his subconscious was registering that check. And over time, it stopped being some crazy dream and it started to feel normal to him. And then it obviously actually happened. In 1994, he got a movie deal for Dumb and Dumber, and that paid him $10 million. And now some people will call that manifestation, but in my opinion and experience, subliminal programming is the way to speed up manifestation. His subconscious had been exposed to that number so many times that it started aligning everything in his life to make it real. Here's another one. Nike once funded a study to see if subliminal messaging could actually enhance athletic performance. And the experiment involved athletes who were exposed to subliminal motivation words, things like power, unstoppable, win, while they trained. These words were flashed on a screen for just milliseconds, way too fast for the conscious mind to register. But the result was the athletes who were exposed to those subliminal messages performed significantly better than those who weren't. Their endurance, their strength, confidence, all of it improved without them even realizing why. Their minds had been programmed with success. Now think about that. If a few hidden words, like the other earlier experiment I told you about, or this one that Nike did, on a screen can make people physically stronger, what do you think happens when you fill your environment with subliminal messages that will reinforce confidence and creativity or success? Here's another one I love because it completely messes with the idea that luck is just random chance. There was a study where researchers tested whether people could actually train themselves to be luckier using subliminals. And they took two groups of people. One group was exposed to subliminal messages that reinforced the ideas like good fortune is coming, you are lucky, opportunities are everywhere, stuff like that. And the other group didn't get any subliminal messages. And at the end of the experiment, the lucky group reported significantly more lucky breaks, chance encounters, positive outcomes, all of those things, whereas the control group did not. And they weren't actually luckier in any measurable way, but their belief in their luck had changed. And that led them to take different actions. And they noticed more opportunities and positioned themselves for better outcomes. So was it magic? No, it was subliminal programming at work. Their subconscious minds started expecting luck, so they acted like lucky people. And that created better opportunities and results. So before we get to some subliminal strategies that you can use purposely to create the life that you actually want, I want to share a personal story with you because I'm not just talking about subliminal messages as an interesting psychological concept, because I've actually lived this. I have used subliminals to reprogram my own mindset, and I can honestly say that they played a massive role in getting my life back on track after one of the hardest financial periods my husband and I ever faced. It was after the global financial crash in 2008, and my husband and I lost nearly all of our net worth. And to say it was scary is truly an understatement. Everything that we had worked for felt like it was just disappearing overnight. And when you're in that kind of a situation, it is so easy to spiral into negativity and fear and scarcity thinking, all those things. And I knew that if I did not find a way to shift my mindset, things would most likely not be turning around anytime soon. And I didn't just want to rebuild financially. I really wanted to rewire the way I thought about abundance and success and opportunity. And that's when I started using subliminal recordings. In fact, we both did. Specifically, I found Kelly Howell's subliminal audio programs from Brain Sync, and I started listening to them religiously every morning, every night before I went to sleep, and even throughout the day, because she has ones that you can listen with headphones or you can just listen as background music. And if you're not familiar, her recordings combine subliminal affirmations with binaural beats, which are the sound frequencies designed to shift your brainwave state. And the messages are recorded below the conscious threshold, so you don't actually hear the words. You hear them maybe one time through, and then it just fades. And so then it's just quiet, and you only hear the binaural beats. But your subconscious absorbs them. And that's the key, because when affirmations are subliminal, you don't have any resistance, no doubt. You're not thinking, but this isn't really true from your conscious mind. And at the same time, I started a gratitude journaling practice. Every single day, I wrote down 10 things I was grateful for. Even if in the moment it felt like there wasn't much to be grateful for, I wrote about future things as if they were already happening, reinforcing abundance instead of scarcity. And I honestly believe that the combination, the subliminal reprogramming and the conscious gratitude practice, was what really turned things around for us. And now let me be clear, it was not just some vague shift in energy. Over time, I really started noticing real changes in the way that I thought, the opportunities that I saw, and the risks I was willing to take. I made different decisions because my mind was different. And eventually, things did turn around for us financially, not because of luck, but because we had completely reprogrammed our belief system about what was possible. And so, if you're listening and thinking, okay, but how do I actually use subliminals in my own life? I'll give you some suggestions. The first one is what I just described: listen to subliminal audio. I think this is one of the easiest ways to start. You can find subliminal recordings for confidence, success, abundance, whatever you want to shift in your mindset. I personally recommend the ones that are backed by binaural beats or theta wave brain music, like Kelly Howell's brain sync programs. I'm not sponsored by her or anything like that. I really believe in the power of her work, and it's very affordable. I think you can download audios for, I don't know, like $10. And you can listen while you work, while you sleep, or as background noise. The key is consistency, because you won't consciously hear the affirmations, but over time, your subconscious absorbs them. So it's not something you want to do just for a couple of days. I literally did it probably for a year straight, even when things were turning around. And I can still recite the words to some of those recordings that I listened to back then. The second thing I would suggest is to surround yourself with subliminal cues. Think about your environment. What are you seeing every day? What words or images or messages are you feeding your brain? If you want to program success, create subliminal cues that will reinforce that. And this could be something like changing your phone wallpaper to something that symbolizes your goals, putting post-it notes with key affirmations in places that you see often. Even if you're not stopping to read them, your subconscious will pick them up. Choosing books, and not just to read them, but so that your subconscious will notice the titles. So put them where you will see them. Listen to music with uplifting lyrics, and make sure you're consuming content that aligns with the mindset that you want to build. And remember, again, repetition is the key. If you're constantly exposed to positive success-based subliminals, your subconscious starts accepting them as reality. Another thing I would suggest is using whisper affirmations. And you might not be familiar with this, but this is something that I found really powerful. Instead of just saying affirmations out loud, try whispering them to yourself throughout the day, especially when you're in a relaxed state, like before bed or right after waking up, but really anytime, because it bypasses the resistance and it lets the message sink in deeper. I know it might sound weird, but just try it. And finally, I would suggest journaling, because journaling isn't just about reflection. It's another way to reprogram your subconscious. Like I did, try writing out the affirmations or gratitude statements in the present tense as if they are already true. Again, this works especially well if you pair it with the subliminal listening. Your brain is getting the message visually, auditorily, and emotionally all at once. Because the truth is, whether you use subliminals on purpose or not, your subconscious is already being programmed. And if subliminals could help me after losing almost everything, if they can make athletes stronger, if they can make people luckier, imagine what they can do for you if you use them with intention. So how about this week you choose one way to start incorporating subliminals into your life? Maybe it's listening to a subliminal audio program. Maybe it's setting up subliminal cues in your space, in your home. Maybe it's whispering affirmations to yourself before bed. Just pick one and try it consistently over the next 30 days and see what happens. Your subconscious is always listening. Feed it the beliefs, confidence, and vision that align with the future you want. And once you do, or if you already have, I would love to hear about it. Reach out to me on social media or send me an email. That's a wrap for today, my friends. Thank you for sharing your time with me. And remember to show up in your life like the masterpiece you are, because you are the artwork. Please subscribe and leave a 5-star review. Have a fabulous day.